The reason why I'm autistic because I like being an adult and also being a child. And that's why I was autistic. I like to do what children has done before, like cartoons, comics, DVDs, action figures, drinking soda. And most important, it's hard for me.
Basically, autism has three components. There's a communication problem, there's socialization problem with relationships, and then there's always some kind of repetitive action, perseveration. So, but the range of autistic people the range is phenomenal. And then you have these kids that snap. That's my theory. When you have these kids who are associated with the Asperger's in their 20s, and it's often in their 20s, because that's when the parents let them go. This is just me now, you know, that's my idea. And they just have no place to go. They have no job. If they had one, they don't have one anymore, and they're desperate, and they get into these horrible social situations, whether it's drugs or violence, or this undercurrent of society, and they could snap, and they could commit crimes, and it's not because of the Asperger per se, but it's because of what we as a society, what we did with that to that person all these years. Parents know, I think, that there's something going on with their child. When a child is 3 months old, 6 months old, then there may be you want them to be looking at you and not through you. But it's often the father who denies, it's the mother who's overly concerned, and no, the kid's going to be fine, I was like that when I was a kid, and blah, 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 right? So there's all these sense of guilt, it's my fault, denial, and the way I conquer that is with the truth. And the truth is that there are internal problems within the child. You don't teach them to be autistic. It's not the parent's fault, it's not the teacher's fault. So let's concentrate on getting the kid better. The parent can have a huge role in getting the kid better if people know what to do to get him better or her better, rather than feeling guilty that it's my fault, because that energy doesn't help. Even the parents at this point, out of love, if you want to call it that, they have to have their own life. They have to let the kid go. They think it may be the best thing, because nothing else has worked.
Ow! Owie! He's part of the family, and you hate to give up on your child as a lost cause. But I've come to the conclusion now that the best thing would be to place him somewhere where they can control him and they're not going to hurt him.
My approach looks for the underlying cognitive reasons why the kid cannot function well, as opposed to something very superficial, behavioral. I want the kid's mind to be engaged with me. I want to do some kind of activity where they're excited and they're engaged, and then they look at their mother and they say, more, or I want this, or do that again. And that's where the eye contact comes from engagement and reality and relationships and getting better. This idea of Asperger's, especially, because it's almost like an invisible disability, because they function fairly well, they get through college, they're smart, sometimes brilliant, they have jobs, but then they can't relate, and they're human, so they get depressed. And they have this comorbidity, so-called, that they have other things that they're concerned about. And I've gotten psychiatric cases. Those people who are purported to have Asperger's, there's Mozart, Beethoven, there's Hans Christian Andersen, there's Thomas Jefferson, There's Charles Schultz. You have someone like Jerry Seinfeld, who came out like a week ago.
I think, on a very drawn-out scale, I think I'm on the spectrum.
And it angers some people who are on the spectrum, or who have Asperger's, who have a kid who has Asperger's. How dare? You know, we own that term. Look at him, he's so successful. And I'm saying, he's probably right, because it is a continuum. And he's probably, you know, he's probably on the high end of the autistic spectrum. I don't doubt that. If he feels that way, if he thinks that, he has reason to, because it's hard for him to relate in certain circumstances.
I don't see it as dysfunctional. I just think of it as an alternate mindset.
If the person functions well in the society, then they're really not disabled.